I'm Mike Coupel, and welcome to another PACE TV show. Zumba. Zumba. The word itself suggests an exotic movement or an exciting dance routine, but can it also mean a health fitness program? Here to answer that question and to tell us more about Zumba Inclusive, we have Lisbeth Garces and Jacqueline Hansen. Liz, Jacqueline, welcome to PACE TV, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Now, do you mind if I call you Liz?
No,
Or may I call you Jackie?
Please.
Wonderful. Now, I guess my first question is to Liz. Tell us, what is Zumba, actually? What is it? What does it mean?
Zumba is actually an exercise program that was created, we're saying 15 years ago. And it's a dance, it's a Latin dance exercise that you do aerobics and then get a lot of workout, but it's having fun and dancing with all the Latin musics that it comes with. It was created by a person from Colombia, a guy from Colombia. His name is Beto, and he started dancing his music and created a program. So it's actually now worldwide, and it's very recognized, and it's just a fun exercise that you can actually burn a lot of calories doing it.
So Zumba was actually created as an exercise program,
Yes.
as opposed to a dance that became an exercise program.
Yeah.
I understand. Now I make it. So now, what are some of the benefits that the average person would get from being involved with Zumba?
There's a lot of benefits to it. It's physical, cardiovascular, toning. Even people with asthma has better, because your heart rate gets, you get a better heart rate, a better exercise, and overall people with depression, it makes them happy.
Okay.
People with a lot of different kinds of any emotional or physical disabilities, or just a regular person that goes to exercise.
I understand. Now, someone like myself who is beyond a senior citizen, shall I say, could I benefit from Zumba?
Yes, you probably will. And like I said, anybody. I mean, everything has to be done depends on what you can do. The levels of your cardiorespiratory, what can you breathe, what can you do, how can you move. But yeah, I think you will benefit a lot with it.
Now, if you had, let's say for instance, for our discussion's sake, you had 10 students and of various needs as far as exercise, or for various levels, do you tailor each individual for their needs? In other words, if I'm in a class with a 25-year-old, obviously I can't compete with that person.
Yes.
So can you tailor it for me and that person equally, or within the same time period, I mean to say?
Yes, it's a very good question, because with Zumba, that's what Zumba Inclusive is all about. Zumba is a very energetic exercise that most of the people see on TV, and you're like, I'm not going to be able to do that. But what I do, and that's what I think I became very good at it, is just to try to get everybody to do whatever they can with very little specific instructions. I can lower it to a level that you can do, and I can update it to a level that a 25-year-old can do. So it's pretty much more what the people are there. I just tell them, you need to adjust to what you can do. And when I have, for example, most of my students are nonverbal. They don't talk, so I have to actually explain to them physically what I do, mimic them a little bit of what they do. And it's pretty hard. I mean, I have to go back and forth, but that's my job, to make sure that everybody is safe and everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, and they can get the benefit that they should get.
Yeah. Now you're talking about people with special needs.
Yes.
We'll get into that a little later, but for the general population, it's equally beneficial, I'm sure.
Yes.
As you described.
Yeah, and it's also, exactly, it could be that you have a 25-year-old and a 60-year-old, and you always have to recommend to the 60-year-old, they of course do a better. You have to be careful and tell them. I can show different levels. It can be high impact, low impact. So you try to suggest to follow whatever is comfortable for them.
It's very interesting, extremely interesting, as a matter of fact. Now, Jackie, what inspired you to get involved in Zumba?
Well, I have been a dancer all my life, but really an amateur dancer. And I've been mostly active all my adult life. I saw a demonstration of Zumba on TV 4 years ago, and I thought, that looks like fun. I've got to try that. But it turned out, just by happenstance, that it was a year before I did try it out. And then one day I just happened to walk into Lisbeth's class. This was 3 years ago this fall. And right away I was hooked. I just loved it. I liked the, as they say, it's good for the body, mind, and spirit. And that's what I found to be true.
Now, obviously, you were an accomplished dancer beforehand, so you were in pretty good physical shape. What benefits have you received since you've been involved with Zumba?
Lots of benefits. I enjoy the experience of being in the class. It's very supportive. Lisbeth is a great teacher. And the people who come to these classes seem to be likable people. They're willing to take a risk and try something a little bit goofy. And everybody's in the spirit of having fun together. I feel that now, after 3 years of Zumba, I'm probably in the best health of my adult life. My health is great.
That you're having fun.
Yes.
And you're getting healthier. And you can't ask for anything more than that.
Right.
Now, can anyone benefit from Zumba? Well, actually, we've talked about that to some degree, but do you want to add something to what Elizabeth was?
Yes, actually, she commented that she had some asthma problems when she first started doing Zumba, and that's why I mentioned it earlier, because she mentioned that. So you can talk about that.
Right, and I don't know if it's cause and effect or not, but all my life I have had some low-grade asthma problems that just flare up in the aftermath if I catch a cold. In the 3 years that I've been doing Zumba, I've had not one single day of asthma problems.
Wow.
So either it could be cause and effect, or else it's just an amazing coincidence.
Yeah. Well, it seems to have worked, whatever it was. Anyone can benefit from Zumba, as you said. And if I were to walk into a Zumba class for the first time, like Liz did, like Jackie did, what would I experience? What would I see? And what would you recommend for my first day, if you will?
Most of the time people ask, like, what can I do? Or, they come to my classes. I normally introduce myself and tell everybody the same thing. You do what you can. Don't do more than what you should. You should bring water with you and a towel, because you're going to sweat. So pretty much that's what I recommend anybody. And enjoy the class.
So I walk in the door and I have my little bottle of water with me. I say, Liz, I'm here to learn Zumba. Do I should be in some sort of, I guess, shorts or something?
Yeah, exactly, like a workout.
Clothing.
Yeah, that's what I'm sorry, I forgot about that. You should have comfortable tennis shoes that you can dance with. You can't use really dancing shoes, because it's more than an exercise. So most of the time we exaggerate the moves. When you dance, you don't have to exaggerate, but because the aerobics work when you move your arms and your legs at the same time, increases your heart rate, and that's what is going to make you blood pressure to go and get more benefit out of it. So most of the time, it's a classes start with a warm-up. So I tell everybody, okay, this is what we're doing. Everybody's dressing up like you're going to the gym, shorts or pants or tennis shoes most of the time. I do a warm-up. So it's like a song that just literally stretches your arms and forward, back, and your legs. And then after that, I start doing mostly salsa. It's a Latin dance that we do. It's very simple. I try to make it very simple, because I think that's what people likes about the classes, to be simple. You don't want to put you to work too much, and then you're already worrying about you doing it.
Yeah.
So
there's an old saying that nothing succeeds like success. And if you start off in little increments, and you're successful there, you're bound to be successful in the next step.
Yeah,
So I think it's a very good way to teach.
But this class, I want to add, is not for people who believe in that saying, no pain, no gain. There's no pain here. It's just fun. You get great benefits without feeling like you're doing work. I think that's one of the best parts about it.
That's great. That's a great attribute to the whole concept, because you look forward to going someplace where you're going to have a little fun.
yes.
That's right.
That is great. Now, there was a time, Liz, when you had to leave your native country, Venezuela, and you came to America. And would you mind telling us a little bit about that difficult part of your life?
Sure. I grew up in Venezuela originally. I mean, I have 3 sisters and 3 brothers, so it's a big family. One of my sisters has cerebral palsy. She's older than me, so I grew up with my sister's disability. And then when I was 26, my son was only 4 years old. My son started acting a little different than other kids, slowing down, not really moving as fast as he used to, and compare with other kids. And I realized it was something wrong with him, but I wasn't sure what it was, so I took him to a doctor. It wasn't really any. They could not give me any diagnosis because there was kind of like a new thing for. We're talking about 20, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
No, 30 years ago.
30
Sorry,
years ago.
30 years ago. And so I figured it was one hospital in the whole country that I can take him to find out what was wrong with him. And they suggest there was muscular dystrophy.
Muscular dystrophy.
Yeah, muscular dystrophy and Duchenne is one of the kinds of 40 different kinds of muscular dystrophy. So it's kind of like the doctor said to me, well, if that's what he has, he's just going to grow up, he's going to crawl around, and he's going to die. So that was the words that the doctor told me. So I was very devastated. And I was walking around very depressed and, 26 years old. What did you do? Single mom. I was, with my son by myself. And the doctor said to me, you need to leave this country, otherwise you're just going to see your son literally die and right in your face without you doing anything. That really, I thought about it, and I came home and decided that I needed to leave. I needed to go somewhere.
Now, let me just interrupt you for a second, because you had sickness with your sister and your mother. Is that right?
And my mother developed actually at the same time that my son was diagnosed. She was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
So you had your hands full. You had a mom that wasn't well, had Parkinson's. You had a sister that had difficulties, and now a son.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And this is all piled on you.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So it's like 7 of us, and I'm the youngest, but I was always the strongest one in the family, always dealing with the problems. And my brother used to live here in California. I have one brother here and one brother in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to both of them and say, yeah, you can, come here. And I actually did a fundraiser. I used to work in an insurance company. Everybody got together, and they flew me on a plane, in a military plane, to Miami through the Lions Club. The Lions Club is a big, organization. I think is worldwide, and they got me in. So I'm sitting in the plane with my son. It was freezing out there. No chairs. They have those chairs. They're like when they jump off the plane with a big old open. And my suitcase, and I'm just all of a sudden I'm in Miami with my son, a suitcase, standing in the middle of the airport.
Now your son's name is Juan?
Juan Carlos, yeah.
Juan Carlos, and he was how old then?
He was 5.
5.
Yeah. So my brother picked me up, and then after that I flew here to California, and I started going. And plus I did not speak a word in English. You just don't learn English back, in the country. You don't do that. So when I got here, I did not speak a word. I had to learn. I had to go doctors, and when the first hospital was in LA, that I had to take him, and I did. And I used to bring my brother. Sometimes he couldn't go, so I had to literally, in 6 months, I was already speaking English. I literally merged myself into the language to be able to help him.
And there came a time when he passed away.
Yeah, he lived for 10 years with his disability, and I did everything I could to make his life more comfortable. He did what anybody could do. I helped him as much as I could. I survived for the last, for 10 years, and it was just myself working, and, in a country that that's not your country, and you have to do the things that you've never done before. And I cleaned houses for 10 years, and it was just the only way that I can be available for him when he needed me. It was just I was his 100% help. He could not do anything for himself. And slowly, as he went down, like his muscles started deteriorating, and he went through surgeries, and his legs, and his back. And the other day, actually, I was in a Zumba class, and somebody brought he must be 18, with muscular dystrophy, Duchenne, the same muscular dystrophy that my son had. And they have scoliosis has come with it, so their back curves, and it curves so much that when it curves, so their bodies become like literally an S, like the way it is, and it's very difficult for them to live, and all the organs
Sure,
will
of
not.
course.
And he was this kid that I saw. It was very like he never went to surgery because his parents didn't do it,
Mm-hmm.
and he looked very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If you're
But he
She
was
was-
enjoying the music, wasn't
yes, yes,
in
he
the
was.
class?
Yeah, he was just nodding his head and smiling, and every
Mhm.
time I'm a little bit of a clown. I try to make them laugh because it's just make them enjoy more, and if they can, I told them move your fingers, move your head, whatever
Mhm.
you can, just enjoy the music. So that's how it was. How I came here, and then he passed when he was 15.
Your son.
Yeah, my son passed when he was 15, Juan Carlos, and he was just devastated. Sorry, it was very devastating for me.
Of course.
But at the same time, he was just such a joyful. It was the best thing that happened to me.
Well, that leads us to the next. Well, by the way, you may be a clown, but you're a very strong clown. I compliment you for that.
Thank you.
That brings us to the next part of our story. Now that the death of Juan Carlos, as traumatic as that was, apparently inspired you to do something else, to get involved in therapy for people with disabilities and people with challenges, and that became what? The Juan Carlos
The Juan
program.
Carlos Organization.
Organization.
Yes.
And that's the 205C?
501c3 nonprofit organization.
And that is part and parcel to what you do the very best at, and that's Zumba.
Yes.
Yes. So, how are you involved in the Juan Carlos program?
Well, after I had been Lisbeth's student for a few months in her class, I think about 4 or 5 months, she started talking a little bit to the class about her son because it was the anniversary month of his birth. And she mentioned that she had this son who had passed away, and I was so amazed to realize this person, this teacher who brought so much joy to this class, had lived through such a difficult thing. And she started talking about how she had this dream of wanting to start a nonprofit organization and asked me if I would help. I'm retired. I've been involved in a lot of nonprofit organizations, both in my work life and in my life since retirement, but I thought this one sounded very compelling. For one thing, I have an adult stepson who is autistic, and so I know something about the world of people with disabilities. Her vision to me was very compelling, along with her own life story, and so I signed on, and she and I cooperated to figure out all the steps involved in how to create a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We created all the appropriate documents. We got all the approvals from the federal government and the state government, and we were off and running.
Wow.
And then I agreed to serve as the chair of the board of directors, and that's an interesting group.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody in that group likes to dance. And everyone has been Lisbeth's student at one time or another. So they're great people to work with.
So now, Elizabeth, you are now involved in a nonprofit, and you, from what I found out, you work 7 days a week practically, and teaching Zumba to people with disabilities and with challenges. So tell us a little bit about that, how that works.
Well, when I actually asked Jackie about my dream, it was because when my son passed, I started working out. It was just kind of like my way out to grieve, and I found Zumba in a trip to Florida. My family lives to Florida. They don't live here, and my niece invited me to a Zumba class, and I went, and I fell in love with it, and I thought this is going to be what I want to do for living. I came home to California, I got certified, and I started teaching classes immediately. And I started doing the Zumba, and then years went by, well, maybe a couple years, and I thought, this is something that I would like to do. And one day, one of my students brought her son, and he had Down syndrome. He came in and did the whole class. He enjoyed it so much. He loved it. He worked out. He did whatever he was doing. He was having a lot of fun. And then I thought, in that moment, they came to my mind, this is how I can do this. So I talked to the YMCA that I was teaching the classes, the Peninsula YMCA, and tell them, can I open up a class so I can invite people with disabilities, and they supported me. I contacted one of the school programs. This after-school program is called Trace. They actually, their school program, when they're done from a high school, is a transitional program, and then they help them to do, how to get on the bus and how to be a little bit more independent. And I contact them, and that they brought me the kids, so they come once a week, and that's how it started. I mean, I started with maybe 10 kids. Now my classes are 30 to 40 kids.
Wow.
And they come, and it's very interesting because everybody's doing what they can, and everybody is doing something, but they're all following me. They're all looking at me and trying to do whatever they want to do.
I think that's great. And it's a tribute to your son. I'm sure that's what you had in mind also, the Juan Carlos program. The mission statement. Basically, you have a mission statement as a nonprofit. What is that?
It's to provide a Zumba-inspired dance therapy program for the special needs community. Because a lot of people in that community, I mean, you and I would say that everybody in this country who wants to be involved in exercise for their own health and socialization has a perfect right to do that. We just take that for granted. Well, that's not so true for the special needs community, especially for those who are low income. They don't have so many opportunities. In fact, some of their opportunities are very limited. And so this program seeks to create more opportunities for that population, and especially to bring them together in settings where they're moving and feeling the joy of the music along with other people who may or may not have any disabilities. It's an inclusive program. It's everybody together moving to the music, enjoying themselves.
And music is such a crucial part of the program, isn't it?
It is.
Yes.
And music is international. I mean, it's universal. And people respond to music, especially children, children with disabilities. And I think it's marvelous. Now, you have sessions with anywhere between 10 and 30 students. Most of those students are students with challenges and disabilities. And how many classes do you have a week as the average?
About, we say
8.
9 classes. Yeah,
Nine classes.
about 9 classes a week that is just dedicated to people with disability.
And you do classes for people that do not have disabilities as well?
Seniors.
Seniors?
Yeah, I
seniors?
actually concentrated on seniors and people with disability because this is my full-time job. So it would be very hard to do, high impact. It will literally kill me. So this classes is more energy on pretty much motivating people to move, because I do like seniors and I do retirement homes, and they don't really do anything, and they enjoy my music and enjoy what I do and help them to as much as I can do. And I actually have my oldest student is 101.
Wow. So it's like have music will travel.
Yes.
You go from nursing homes to various other locations.
Yes.
What does it cost for people to take part in your classes?
The nonprofit organization, we ask for a donation of $2 per student. A lot of this sometimes don't have the money, and it's mostly to show them so they can have a responsibility of having something that they pay for. It makes them important. They're doing something like anybody else, just paying for a class. The other classes mostly is depend on the gym. I work at the YMCA or the library. I teach classes, and the library hires me to do these classes, for example.
And that's a token fee.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get a cup of coffee today for $2.
Yeah.
Now, nothing is really free. There's no free lunches. How can people help? How can our audience, the people sitting at home, how can they help the good work that you guys do, that you ladies do?
We need volunteers. We need very different type of volunteering. Like, for example, I see myself teaching classes, and I wish I had somebody that they can help me, because they need one-on-one attention. It's just like they want to mimic. I have a lot of autistic kids. They are nonverbal, and you literally have to motivate them and do it right in front of them. So I need to give them attention. So volunteers will help me, and actually they were suggesting me about college kids. Sometimes they need to do a service to.
They get credit for
They
that?
get credit for that, so
Sure.
they can probably help me.
Yeah.
I can train people to help me. The other helps that we need is we're trying to get grants and try to apply for grants. So grant writers to help us to do that. Locations that it can let us do that.
So a
in the
grant
place.
writer could do part-time work for you.
Yes,
and
exactly.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
And someone could write a check.
Yeah, that too.
So give us some information now as far as how they can contact you in order to help out. You have a website, I'm sure, right?
Yes, we have www.jcorg.org.
jcorg.org.
This is Juan Carlos Organization. We just made it a smaller abbreviation, jcorg.org. And also people can contact me, 619 my 971-3904.
Say it again, please.
619-971-3904.
Right. Now, in our conversations prior to the show, we discussed the need for accessibility to gyms and workout centers for disabled people. Unfortunately, we're running short of time, but we will get a piece of that information on the program. There's an interview with one of your students that identifies the need for fitness centers and gyms to be able to deal with people with disabilities.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tammy, and I have a disability. Fitness is something very, very important to me, and something that I want to share with other people with disabilities to empower them to become as fit as they possibly can, no matter what level of their disability. Fitness is the key to being able to survive and to thrive. It's not easy to be able to work out when you're disabled, especially if you're in a wheelchair. The gyms aren't equipped with equipment that I can access from the wheelchair, and the people who work at the gyms are terrified of working with anybody with a disability. Zumba is great. The inclusive Zumba, you can be in a wheelchair or not, and you've got music that's fun and you're with other people. It doesn't feel like exercise, but yet you do a full workout.
I could do this for another 2 hours. You're fascinating people. I can't thank you enough for what you both do. You're a credit to the community. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for being part of PACE TV.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having us here.
Good luck in your efforts.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks.
being here.